This is the Equity, Community Affairs, Housing, Health, and Education Committee. I am the chair, Councilwoman Barbara Shanklin. The vice chair has an excused absence, Councilman Stuart Benson. Councilmember Tammy Hawkins is here. Councilmember Dan Sam Jr., he's here. Councilmember Marcus Winkler has an excused absence. And we also have Councilwoman Jenny Harvey Woolridge. Okay, she's here. We have a special discussion, but we're going to have it after we have three resolutions, let me see, one, two, three, four, five resolutions, and we will get started, and then we'll have a special discussion. Can we start off with, oh, first, the ruling?
This meeting is being held pursuant to KRS 61.826 and Council Rule 5A, read in full.
Okay, thank you. We'll start off with number 2. Ken Herndon is not here. I don't know if I should have if I should wait.
Let me text him and have someone come in if you want to skip that one for a second.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute, there's no one here to speak. Are you talking to item 3? Sorry, man, I didn't see you then.
Item 2.
Yeah, number 2.
So let me just deal with, skip item 2 and I'll get someone from Herndon's office.
Okay, Ben said he was going to speak on it, didn't he?
No, he's
Oh.
going to speak to item.
Okay, we'll go to number 3. Yes.
Item 3, a resolution honoring Reverend Dr. Gregory French Smith by dedicating the corners of Dixie Highway and Within Lane, Cumberland Court and Within Lane, Lonely Lane, New Millennium Drive, and the Worthing Lane and 7th Street Road and Worthing Lane as Reverend Dr. Gregory French Smith in his honor. Read in full.
Thank you. We do have someone to speak on it.
Yes, ma'am. Ben
Ever
Harlan,
should.
Legislative Assistant, Councilwoman Shamika Parrish Wright, District 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion, second. Okay.
Do I need to repeat that? Okay. We are honoring Dr. Smith with these street signs as someone who was a longtime resident of Louisville and our district, specifically at Wathen Lane. We hope for your support.
Is that one corner or is that two
It's
corners?
4 or 5 of them, I believe.
4 corners?
Yeah, because it's Wathen Lane, so it's Wathen, and then what is that one? That one is 7th Street Road, and it goes all the way to, what is that, Dixie? And then there's a couple in between.
Okay. That's a long, okay. Right, do you have anything to say about it, or?
Oh, we just wanted to honor
You
this
just want to
constituent.
honor?
Mhm.
Okay. Is there any questions or concerns? Okay, so let's vote on it. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? It will be going to the consent calendar.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the next one will be number 4, and I think that's mine. You want to read it?
Item 4, a resolution honoring Vernita Brown by dedicating the corner of Exeter Avenue and Chester Trail as Vernita Brown Way in her honor. Read in full.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the reason we're honoring Benita Brown is Benita worked at the community center for many years, and she had so many kids that she mothered. It was just like when you went to the community center, it was like having your mom there with you. She took care of them, she made sure they had homework, and the community actually went around and took up a petition to get her honored. So we will be honoring Benita Brown. It'll be Benita Brown Way, right, posted right out in front of her house. So I think it's going to be nice. So, okay, thank you. So we're going to vote on it. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? None. We will send this to the consent calendar. Okay, I'm gonna go back to, Ken, I'm gonna go back to yours. Okay,
He's got my paper and I need it. Item 2, a resolution honoring the Reverend Dr. Jazetta Ferguson by dedicating the corner of 12th Street and West Jefferson Street as Reverend Dr. James Etta Ferguson Way in her honor. Read in full.
Second. Okay. Any questions or concern?
Thank you, ma'am. No, we fully support this. This is the woman who's developed Molo Village at 12th and Jefferson, and this is in her honor. So we fully support it.
Is there any concerns, questions or concerns? Hearing none, no vote on it. All in favor? Any opposed? We will be sending this to the consent calendar. Okay, thank you. Okay, the last one is number 5. Madam Clerk.
Item 5, a resolution encouraging parents and guardians to be aware of their children's whereabouts and activities, particularly during after-school and nighttime hours. Read in full.
Okay, this is my resolution, and the reason, I just want to explain the reason why we put this together. This year it's been at least, I'm not even sure how many kids have been killed at 15 and 16 years old. And it's always late at night, where it's been a couple in the daytime. But we just want to encourage parents and guardians to be more aware of where their children are. You know, a lot of times I've talked to different teenagers and they've said, well, sometimes I slip out at the middle of the night and she don't even know I'm gone and I'll get back in the house. Well, I've seen where a couple of kids that got killed at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we're just trying to encourage moms to, even if you have to get up during the night, get up and check to see if little Billy or whoever's in the house, because they do slip out. And I've had grown people say, you know, I used to do that when I was a kid. So school's starting, and we want them to be more aware of where their children are, make sure they're doing their homework and all the things. So it's not a demand or anything, just encouraging parents to be more aware, because children are getting killed every day. So we have any questions or concerns? No comments? Okay, so we're ready to vote. All in favor? Are you gonna vote, Ms. Tarr? You gonna vote? Did you vote? Oh, I didn't. Let me see. So, any noes? No noes? We're gonna send this to. Yeah, usually you do. We're gonna send this to consent calendar. So the next, we don't have any more legislation. All of them have gone to consent. We have a special speaker today, Dr. Brian Yearwood. He's with new superintendent from the Jefferson County Public Schools, and he's up over there. Can you get up and introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity. My name is Brian Yearwood. I'm the new superintendent here in Jefferson County Public Schools. Mark's just over 30 days in the position. And I appreciate Chair Shanklin for inviting me to speak with you about JCPS. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm excited to meet with you and learn more about the Metro Council and how we can work together to improve our community, my new community at that. My background, I started in Texas as a teacher and coach, assistant principal. I moved up into the ranks of assistant superintendent for academics for many years, and then I moved into the chief operating officer in charge of nutrition, busing, construction, that sort of thing. And then I became a superintendent in a place called Columbia, Missouri. Was there for several years, and then I'm now here, very proud to say, in Jefferson County, very fortunate to be here. I just want to share with you this evening a brief overview of where we are as a school district and some of my goals for this school year. Then I'll turn it over to Dr. Rob Folk, our Chief Operating Officer, to give you an update on transportation. After that, we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. First of all, I'm very proud to say that we are ready for the first day of school. We are ready for day one tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. Teachers have been in their schools all week. They've been preparing classrooms for return of our students. Most of our teachers and principals have actually participated in growth opportunities to professional development over the summer, looking for ways to engage experiences for students, which we need more and more of. Just a little bit on transportation. As of yesterday, we have close to 651 bus drivers, plus a few from Talk, which is more than enough drivers to cover our current routes. So we are very excited about that. And again, Dr. Folk will fill us in as we move forward. I'm confident, just like last year, we will be getting more than 40,000 bus riding students to and from school safety and in a timely manner. Food service and cafeteria staffs are ready again this year with free breakfast and lunches for every student in every school, courtesy of a federal program. Now, this will ensure that every child has access to 2 nutritious meals every single day they're in school. And again, we know that a hungry child is not a child that's equipped to learn adequately. For the second year, every child in JCPS will be getting the same literacy and math programming. And this is important because as students move from one school to another, as they transfer, they wouldn't be forced to learn a different reading or math curriculum. In other words, they'll be able to adapt faster. This is a big deal and will help me with one of my goals. One of my goals, that is seeing that every child in JCPS must improve at least a minimum of 1 grade level in math and reading by the end of each school year. Every child. All will mean all. So we'll once again also, to maintain the integrity of our learning environment, we'll have weapons detection systems in every middle and high school, providing a deterrent to weapons in our school buildings. There are a few new things this year. This is the 3rd year of Hudson Middle School. So we now have what is called a full enrollment, grade 6 through 8, with the addition of another grade and the popularity of the choice zone. This allows West Louisville students the choice, which is important, the choice of going to school near their homes. Hudson Middle School's enrollment has outgrown its current building, so now we're opening 6th grade academy, the Hudson 6th grade academy, in its own building with its own principal, and this will be located at the Young Elementary. Young Elementary and Englehart Elementary School students will now be attending school at Whitney Young Elementary at Englehart. During the school year, we also expect to begin construction on at least 2 new buildings. Dr. Folk can talk more about those in a minute. And as we start the school year, I want to remind everyone of the great things going on in JCPS. We have the highest graduation rates ever at 88% in 24, and we expect to increase that. The graduation gap between our black and white students have been virtually eliminated as far as graduation is concerned. We are a driving force for economic progress as we produce more and more educated students for Louisville's workforce. We'll continue to do that. We are a national model with our Academies of Louisville. That, I call it one of Louisville's hidden secrets. The Academies of Louisville and the Middle School Explore programs. This is a national, this should be focused on a national level because, again, we give students a chance to find their interests, plot their career paths, and earn job certifications and licenses while they're still in high school. Almost unheard of. Phenomenal. Our equity-centered work is also nationally recognized. And we have other opportunities. We have vibrant learning opportunities here in JCPS that allows students to learn the way they would like to. And we want to expand and improve upon that. We are hyper-focused on academic achievement. And that's why I'm in this education business. That's what drives me. That's my passion, to see students gain knowledge and blossom into contributing adults. Because we never know the potential of a child until we engage that child, until we reach that child, until we are passionate about ensuring that child, regardless of socioeconomic condition, regardless of race, we know that they can achieve levels that we have not even dreamed about. So my academic focus is on literacy and numeracy, and we'll be concentrating efforts on improving discipline. Students must be in safe places where learning is the priority. We have to get away from the violence and so on, but we will be focusing on learning, making learning the priority. I've found that there's a real passion among JCPS teachers as I've visited schools and so on, a lot of passion among our employees about the work being done in our school district. I was blown away with that. And not just our employees, but there's passion among our business leaders, our government officials and stakeholders. Everyone that I've spoken to, they want to see JCPS, and most importantly, not just JCPS, they want to see our students succeed. It's contagious. So our vision is that all Jefferson County Public School students graduate prepared, empowered, and inspired to reach their full potential and contribute as thoughtful, responsible citizens of our diverse and shared world. That's our commitment. And my plan is to see this vision become a true reality in every corner of our district. So again, thank you for allowing me this time, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Folk, who will talk to us from the operations standpoint.
Dr. Yearwood wanted me to give the council an update today on our first day preparations. Councilwoman Shanklin, thank you for the invitation. We have completed roughly over 20 paving projects at schools across the district to remediate traffic concerns where we have identified them. We have new construction over several buildings right now. The Du Bois High School will be the first high school that has been built in Jefferson County since Ballard High School in 1967. Grace M. James, we will be sending that to bid relatively soon. The Watterson Early Childhood Center will be completed at the same time as Du Bois for the opening of next school year. Carrick Elementary's rebuild just went to bid, has been bid, and will be in the design phase. Okolona goes to bid in 1 week, and Seneca will be bid out next month, as will Hudson Middle School and their new construction. We have undertaken several renovation projects that are ongoing, including Atherton High School, Bix, complete overhaul of their HVAC system. We have moved several buildings this summer. Benet moved out of the Seneca campus and now has their own building at Gilmore Lane. Moved a couple of other campuses. Transportation-wise, as Dr. Yearwood said, we have enough bus drivers to cover our first day routes. We feel like we're in a good position for tomorrow. We have had several scrimmage runs. There's a scrimmage run going on today that we analyze our timing and our data on to make corrections. We had scrimmage runs last week as well. We feel like we're in a good position to start the school year. We're open to any questions you may have.
Any questions or concerns? Oh, okay. Councilman,
Thank you, Ms. Chair. I have a couple questions. What is your policy and what are you going to do about truancy and accountability for the truancy? We've got a lot of kids out skipping school, a lot of parents letting them, and I need to know what your plans are for truancy.
Yes. So when we look at truancy, the issue there is typically the child does not relate to the school. They don't feel they're part of school. They don't feel welcome. They don't feel that this is the place they need to be. So long term, we're going to be looking at mentoring programs. We're going to be looking at how we can connect these children to an adult in that building or somewhere throughout to where they can call and check on them. You know, they can call and say, hey, I missed you today. Where were you? That sort of thing. In my past, what I've done, I've asked the entire district staff, find 5 students in the district who you can mentor. I did that myself as superintendent. I had 5 7th graders, and discipline was reduced, attendance increased because they knew, hey, here was somebody that truly cared about me that worked in the school system. So that's something that I have as a long-term plan because all the research also shows that every time when a child is chronically absent, they're 3 times likely to fail, and we can't allow that. And so I'll be looking at that very intently. And there's some other things too in terms of requirements for promotion and things like that that I'll be looking at as well.
Thank you. And before I go any further, I do want to welcome you to Louisville and Metro Council. And
Thank you.
I'd like to get you in front of full council because we're kind of slim today, but I think it'd be advantageous to have you come in and address us. I'd like to see that. But another question, what about school bus violence? What are you going to do about that? Are we going to hold strong on that? Are we going to hold these people accountable for this? We've seen a lot of it on the news last year. A lot of people got hurt very badly. And what are we going to do about school bus violence?
So one of the policies that we put into place when I took over as chief operating officer a few years ago was to reconstitute our suspension procedures on the bus. We go up to 20 days now for an offense, and we can go to the full year if it is an offense that we find is reasonable to suspend a student from transportation for the year. In addition to that, we have the Culture and Climate Office that we deploy to each bus compound to analyze what's going on in terms of behavior referrals on the bus, and if we see a pattern, it's my stance as the person in charge of transportation that we try to keep our buses absolutely as safe as possible.
Thank you. And I have one more, if I may.
He's going to let you.
When it comes to peer support and coaching within JCPS, I know of folks who have been coaching and successfully for years, and they want to move up, and they get they have records check, and in their records they find that there was maybe a marijuana charge, and they were thrown out of the school because they had those simple charges years ago. And those people are an advantage to these kids in these schools. And I would hope you would look at those policies because we've thrown a lot of good people away because of that policy, and I know it firsthand. So I hope you'll look at that policy and help when it comes to the coaching because these kids do need the coaches. So if you'd look at that, I'd appreciate it. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Hawkins.
Thank you. I'm going to echo off my colleague just a little bit. First, I'm going to say welcome. Welcome to Louisville. I am glad that, we got some fresh blood. And I'm looking forward to see all of the changes that, that you plan on implementing. And I did come there for the little thing that y'all did. It was kind of far out. I just asked that if y'all have something next time, kind of put it close to the West End, because none of the West End really got to participate in the two forums that y'all had, or the South End. I got to speak for my South Enders too. But moving on, I know you said that something that we didn't touch on, and that was, if you didn't know, I'm going to make sure that you're fully aware that we have a gang issue in Louisville, right? And you have 3 pathway schools. One of them is Breckenridge, one of them is Liberty, and one of them is Minor Daniels. And I just want to make sure that you're looking in the set of lenses that allows you to know that when these kids are transferred out of the schools, their home schools, and when they go to these schools, that you have different gang members going to different schools, and they're all in this school, right? I'm not sure that anyone has even looked or identified that. And that is called for a disaster, right? When you get all these, and when I say gang members, I'm not speaking of kids that are wearing blue or red. I'm talking about kids that live in the West End, that is particular about their territory or their turf, right? Park Duval, Newburgh. We have a huge gang issue. And it's a big reflection, and it's gonna come out in those schools, right? Moving on, which leads me to the point of gang violence and things that happen coming off of the bus. When I was on Facebook, I seen a lot of which escalates to other things happening when you can't get somebody at school. I've heard Jefferson County Public Schools say, well, once they get off the bus, we're not responsible for them, right? I'm a firm believer that when, all the way up until they get to their door, right? When you have 10 people that gangs a child when they getting off the school bus and they chasing them and they beat them up, And then you're gonna have parents that are gonna come knocking on doors about their child, right? But if we take a look at where we're moving these kids to, right, the different pathway schools before we send them, depending on if the schools are talking to them, if the school has identified that they may be affiliated with a gang, just a different set of lenses that I just want you, that you probably wasn't privy to, so you know what you're dealing with that. Also, my office had gotten several calls. My colleague spoke about weed and kids getting caught with weed or whatever, just whatever the case may be, or having records. I want to talk about the security of Jefferson County Public Schools. And, it's one thing to do a record check on somebody. They may not even have a bad record, but that don't mean that they're not a bad actor, right? I'm hearing that some of the security that is in some of these schools that are selling weed to these kids is unacceptable. So I definitely wanted to put that on your radar. What you've not been told, you just won't know, right? I also want to speak on I think it's the IEP kids. I was told, going off of my colleague, Councilman Sams, that when kids are suspended off of the bus, that one of the reasons that you guys had a shortage of bus drivers was because as soon as y'all suspended them off the bus, y'all let them come right back. Because they was EIP students. And Jefferson County Public School gets paid for those students, right? So I just kind of want to know, are we letting the bad actors come back to school because you all are getting paid for them? Or maybe you don't know. So these are just things that I'm going down the list that I just kind of want you to be cognizant of. So the next time you come back, or if you come back, that I can talk to you about security, EIP, the cell phones. There's been a lot of concerns with parents being concerned about kids not being able to have their cell phones. I want to know, have you all looked at this in a set of lenses that, people also have watches. So if they don't have their cell phones, all their parents is going to do is go buy them a watch, right? And then what if something happens in school? I do agree with the taking of the cell phones because it does allow them to pay more attention and be more focused on their education, right? But there are a lot of parents already that are trying to find loopholes, right, for this, for the safety of their kids, and I get it, but they're just gonna go to getting watches, right? This last question that I have, and then I think I'm done, is about development. And I think this is more of a question for you. You've been in front of Metro Council before. And that is that when, I'm curious on why is it every time that a new development comes in anybody's district, whether it's the West End, whether it's out in Councilman Hudson's district, Jefferson County Public Schools just is not looking at, the roads. They're not looking at the roads or the parking, right? The line for parents to pull up. And I'm gonna utilize Lee's Lane for one, right? So there was some development going on down the street. I spoke with the principal of Farnsley, who had no idea that development was coming. Here you got almost 600 apartments, right? That's on Lee's Lane now. Right? So if you are looking on Lee's Lane, the traffic is already backed up with the parent rider where people pick the kids up at, right? So that is gonna be a huge factor. And if you have a lot of apartments that's by school, then the classrooms are over capacity. And we are talking about a predominantly minority school. It's already bad enough that our kids, our black and brown kids, already are slower at learning, and then we want to oversaturate the classrooms because the homeschools, you got 600 apartments back here, right? So I would just like, for the transparency to be more, from transportation to the actual schools and the principals, you know, because the parents is like, oh my God, we got so we got 600 more apartments and we gotta fit these, you know, these kids that live in these apartments to this school, because it's the closest to the school, right? Not looking at everything that wraps around that, right? So, when I've been talking to these principals, they've been saying, well, we don't know when development comes. And I'm just curious, like, who's talking to y'all? Because the developers said they're talking to somebody from Jefferson County Public Schools. So if they're talking to somebody, then whoever that person is they're talking to, I would just like them to talk to that actual school and just not take it like, oh, okay, you're putting some development right here by this school, right? Because it plays a huge factor on the parent line when they coming through. It backs up traffic, and Cane Run Road is already bad, right? And it's already, you know, we don't have enough, what's the people that, the cross people that stands with the public? You know, we've already had people hit, whether you know it or not, you know, out there. So I just want you all just, you know, I know changes don't happen overnight. I'm aware of that. But I'm just going to hope and, that you all, you know, just look at things, in a different set of lenses, and, whatever you all need from me, and I'm sure my colleagues will be willing to be, you know, to help you navigate, to help whatever that looks like. And I do have one more question, if you would just let me ask. So, Churchill Downs, they don't pay taxes, but do they fund you all, or what all do they do, or give back to you all, and how are those funds utilized or going to be utilized? Because Churchill Downs, they get a lot of money. So I'm just trying to see on, you know, or if you're not able or you don't know, you can get back with me. That's not even something that you gotta answer if you're not sure, but I'm just trying to follow the money when it comes to them, because if they not gonna pay taxes or whatever that looks like, and it's supposed to go to Jefferson County Public Schools, I just wanna make sure that it, you know, that y'all getting what y'all need from them.
Yeah, I can answer a couple of those questions real quick. The first one about Farnsley. Farnsley's not over capacity right now. We moved the boundary lines on the further edges of it to accommodate for the apartment complexes coming in. We knew they were coming in. We keep a pretty close pulse on where apartments are being built, and we try to project our boundary lines out 1, 3, 5, and 7 years, and then make adjustments so that we don't affect the current kids in the building. Rarely ever do we want to move a current student in the building, but what it does is it phases in the incoming sixth grade on the edge of Farnsley's boundary, like those kids will go to Conway or move to another adjacent school. To the Churchill Downs point, just answering on Dr. Yearwood's behalf, we're still in conversations with Churchill Downs, and it is JCPS's position, will not change, has not changed, will not waver. They need to pay their fair share to the district.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and a couple of the, you had some very important questions. The first one, if there's drugs coming in, please, I would love to know who's bringing those drugs in so we can nip that in the bud. That's unacceptable for a school district. Two, there's a rule called local parental. That means that parents take the role of the parent until the parent sees them. So we do have a level of responsibility, but it goes deeper than that. And that's where the mentoring comes in, because before kids do their thing and get in trouble, they already know it's happening. But the problem is they don't have someone to talk to, someone to engage with. And that's why I think we have to strengthen our mentoring programs and start building stronger relationship with our kids. Because, you know, for us to teach and teach them well, we have to reach them. We have to know who they are. We have to know the good, the bad, the ugly. And so that's something you'll be hearing more about, is what do we know about our children, and who do they relate to? Because if I know somebody's going to jump me, I know that morning. I know that at lunchtime. If somebody's already triggered me, who do I talk to confidentially? That's one. The other one, as far as our special needs students, there's a rule. There's a law that says if the behavior is a manifestation of their disability, in other words, if disability is causing certain things to happen, we have to accommodate that. We can't line up. Trust me, I almost lost my job behind that one a long time ago. I had a young man, he would go through the school, kick on doors, cuss and everything, and I wasn't having that. But they brought their whole team in on me, and I was a principal then, and they said, no, you, Dr. Yearwood, you can't do X, Y, and Z because this is a manifestation of his behavior. And I was hotter than fish grease. I mean, I was fit to be tied, but eventually I worked with the parent, and we were able to get some things in place. So that is an issue that does happen, but there's certain laws that do protect them because of their disability. And what was the first thing you mentioned? Because you did quite a bit, which is good. I
Yeah.
mean, you did your homework, so it's good. What was the first one you came with?
The gang issues
The gang
with
issues.
the three schools.
Yes.
Breckenridge, Liberty, and Manor Daniels.
Yes.
I think right now what happens is, if they get kicked out of their home school, they go to one of these three schools, right? And with, do you all have any gang initiatives or anything in the schools? Because we need them, and if you don't have them, it's gonna be unsafe, because, a lot of kids, they wanna feel, some kids, they don't have, they wanna be a part of something.
Right.
Right? They gather with other kids from their neighborhoods. That's why it's neighborhood against neighborhood. So I'm just seeing if Jefferson County Public Schools has anything in place to be able to identify who those students are, and when they send them to these schools, right? Are they paying attention to the areas that they live in? Because they may be putting them in a worse situation, sending them to that particular school.
So that's a multi-part answer. The first part I'll start with is it's two schools, Breck Metro and MDA. Liberty is a choice school that serves a different type of population. It's not necessarily a place that you might get assigned because of a behavior infraction. But where that mostly is housed in JCPS is the Office of Culture and Climate, that has the Office of Violence Prevention, that works with LMPD and the community-based entities to try and solve that problem. What I would suggest, Dr. Yearwood, and to the council, is at some point this year, Dr. DeFerrari, who is in charge of that, our chief of staff, could come and give a briefing or a conversation with the council.
Yes. It's unfortunate because I look at a discipline profile for our schools, and about close to 80 to 85% of our students never had one single referral. Out of 98,000, 80 to 85% have had zero discipline infractions, zero problems with anything at school. We do have a pocket of individuals that cause disruptions repeatedly, so we'll be dealing with that. I just need to gain more information and making sure that I have a full understanding, and we will get to them. We will get to them sooner than later, because we want to make sure that our schools remain safe places. We want to make sure that our schools are for learning, reading, writing, math, science. That's what we're for, and the rest of it we will get to.
Okay, I appreciate that, because most of the, shooters that's out here and they get caught, they in the schools.
Yes.
They start at that age, so.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a comment that pretty much leaning on what Tammy had to say. Right now, they're moving people to different areas from, they're closing down Adosca Manor in different areas, and they're moving. And people that are in those places are actually low-income people. So I think the Board of Education should meet with the Housing Authority and to see where, and I've said this to the Housing Authority, to see where you're moving them to. Because just like I'm in Newburgh area, and you're putting a bunch of them in Newburgh, now we have a gang problem. Because they're coming from different areas, and I talked to the Housing Authority. You guys need to get together and see where you're putting them. You just don't take them out of one place and stick them in another. Because when they come to our area, my area, just like Councilwoman Hawkins said, there's a fight, they may gang up on them. I have people right now, adults, right now, we got a war going on where they're shooting at each other's houses. But they came from in the West End, and they came out there, and their kids the same way. And so I think the city is making us a bigger problem by moving people to areas that they don't know, people that they don't know, and they're coming from low income buildings there, and then you're putting them in another low-income area. And that's where our biggest problem is. And that's like Councilwoman Hawkins was saying. We're making the problem by moving these people in areas that you want to put them in instead of putting them in areas that they came from or they're more comfortable in. Because if you are just a child by yourself going to school and he comes to an area where they've already been friends for years, they're going to jump in. And then this is where it starts. And then the other thing that I have to say about it is, what happened to the program that they used to have where kids didn't come to school? It used to be an officer that go to the house and find out why they're not at school. So I know that was happening for a while. They did away with it. Now, parents don't always make their kids go to school. But if somebody's knocking on the door asking mom why that child ain't in school, they might be getting to school more often. So we make the problem for these kids because we don't do the right things to protect them. And then they're at home all day, and well, they're not at home all day. They're going to somebody else's house or whatever. And I've known kids get shot just in the house where mom's at work playing with a gun. So we did have that officer that used to go to the home, knock on the door, ask mom, why isn't he at school? We need to put that back in the system. Because if we don't do these things, these kids aren't going to go to school just because they're supposed to. Either mom, dad, or somebody is going to have to make them get up and go to school. And if they don't, knock it on their door and tell mom why isn't at school. You got to make mom be more responsible. And that's what we're talking about now. We got to encourage these parents to be responsible for their kids. So why don't we have those truant officers anymore? Or can we get them back?
Yes, I know we do have a truancy program because I've spoken with several individuals, but I come from a system where we would take them to court. Parents would actually be fined for having their children stay at home for no reason whatsoever. I've seen judges in Texas actually jail parents because they've seen them 2 and 3 and 4 times and the child is chronically absent. This is an elementary child, middle school child, children that they have control over. I have to investigate what we do here and look to see what's working because I know the detrimental effect of a child not being in school, a child roaming the streets, a child being left at home. And that is one of the areas that I'm going to be investigating further. I don't think I have enough information to answer now, but that is a great concern for me, is making sure that our children are in seat so we can educate them. We have great programs. We have programs for students who may not want to go to college. We can put them in the academies and give them a pathway, which is a game changer for their socioeconomic condition to allow them to make money and have great jobs and so on. We have over 200 plus businesses supporting our schools. So there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to get our children in school and provide them a pathway to success. So that is something I'll definitely be looking at.
Because the program was here, and then they stopped it. And so it's our fault that our kids aren't going to school. It's our fault, all of these problems that we have, and we're sticking them in different areas. And we as council people are going to have to make a move and do something, because we're losing kids every day.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Sine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilwoman Hawkins, she's right in the middle of things she was discussing with you about. And if you want to know more, I would definitely hook up with her because she knows. But one of the things I found out, I went to Breckenridge and talked to the guys there. And I learned that a lot of them will self-sabotage when it's time to leave because they may have to go out to a neighborhood where they're going to get killed. And they will self-sabotage so they can stay longer. And what I'm wondering is, are we looking at that? When it's their time to leave, do we just shove them out the door and that's it? Are we partnering with churches, youth groups? Do we know who they are? Who are we partnering with? Are we looking at these kids when they leave Another thing I learned that a lot of them would be put on home incarceration. Well, they're sitting ducks for the 43 gangs that the cops have told us that they have out here. And that when they're put on home incarceration, they're sitting ducks. When they leave the school, it's like we forget about them. And I'm worried about the kids that are on the verge of going to prison or to the grave. And we've got to find ways to follow them and collaborate with with churches, nonprofits, and know who they are and find ways for the counselors to organize with them. I was a coach in Jefferson County School for 6 years, football, middle school. And I've heard, I mean, not all the teachers are there, they're fed up too. I've heard them say, I'm not their mom and dad, but they don't have a mom and dad at home. That's the only example they have of a family is there in that school. So I hope that you're cognizant of that, but these kids need a chance, and sometimes they don't have it at home. And these ones that are self-sabotaging, we need to know why and who they are. So I hope you'll look at that and collaborate with these organizations that are there to help you for nothing.
Yes, and I agree with you. We shouldn't be in the process of just kicking kids out. That is unacceptable to me. If a child exhibits a certain behavior, we deal with the behavior, but we don't punish them by depriving them of their educational process. And we should be able to put enough wraparound services in place to where they're actually working with that child to find out how it is. I had a great program in my past district where actually there were a couple of young men who were incarcerated for 25 years each that came back, cleaned their act up, and the type of gang members and so on, they would work with them, and they were showing great success. Some of them were making A's and B's in their classes because they're smart kids, but they were channeled into the wrong areas. So more to come. Yes, that is one of my would be one of my challenges, absolutely, because no child left behind.
The biggest thing I learned is that discipline creates security for these kids. When they're in a structure, when they were in my football program, I disciplined them, but I also healed their wounds. I put bandages on them. They knew I cared about them.
Yes.
And that discipline gave them a safety net. That's why this truancy, this accountability, things like that have to got to be put in place so they know that there's boundaries.
Absolutely.
And these boundaries do give them a safety boundary also. And then it allows them to be who they are instead of have the front, So I hope you're looking at, I'm sure you will. Thank you.
Yes, and gang, I've dealt with gangs, huge gangs, large numbers. What I've found with them is when you meet these children on an individual basis, they want to be loved. They want to be appreciated. And so, we can't cast labels and so on. We have to work with them. And that's something that I've done repeatedly, and that's an expectation. The bottom line, they're children. They are children, period. Okay.
Councilwoman Borbridge.
Thank you, Chair. So I have to agree with what my colleagues have said, from Sign to Tammy. I appreciate that, and totally wholeheartedly say is Councilwoman Hawkins, you're living right in the heart of a lot of things that we've talked about here. But when we look at the truancy, I agree. When I was a child and growing up, having that truancy, it goes back to the kids have to have accountability, but it goes back to the parents. I mean, we talked about what we talked about earlier is going to the council meeting. It goes back to the parents knowing where the kids are, right? And just alike, if a child's not showing up at school, as a parent, I expect to get a phone call. Where's your kid? Even a few years ago, I was getting calls of a kid who wasn't even mine, and I got one every day. I don't have that kid. I don't know who that kid is, but I was getting a call from somebody. But I do think that that's a program that we should have in place. I don't know what the plan is or if there's a plan for it, but these schools that are in neighborhoods and the pickups and the drop-offs and how that traffic flows through the neighborhood. I know one thing in my district that I get calls of constantly of how that affects neighborhoods, how that affects people coming to and from work, how that affects just the flow of traffic in neighborhoods. I know that I was part of that when I had to take my kids to and from school, but it does affect a lot of people, right? And I don't know if there's a cure for that or not, but something to look at, right? Again, I'm not expecting an answer for that now, but
I'm happy to give our pretty standard answer on that, which is, we know that obviously buses and car riders impact neighborhoods. We do the best that we can within the bounds of our property, and we work with the city and we work with the roads department. We do recognize that one area that I think we can all agree on in the city that can be an area of improvement is crossing guards. And we have worked with LMPD on that. They are aware of the issue. But also too, schools will congest traffic. And when we identify schools where it's an issue that we have to solve, we do everything we can to solve it. Sometimes it's an issue on the Kentucky Transportation Department or on the city roads that there's nothing I can do about other than you have a school in this neighborhood and kids are going to go there, and I would plan ahead. To the question of truancy, though, I did want to mention, I think there's a misunderstanding that we don't do home visits. We do. Our Department of Pupil Personnel does home visits on students that are chronically absent, so we do the phone calls. We do refer them to the county attorney. Once they get to the county attorney, it's in the county attorney's hand. County attorney's office is a bit overloaded with juvenile cases right now. But that is not something that JCPS ceased at any point.
I appreciate that. As we talk about the schools and the overload of the schools, I know, again, Councilwoman Hawkins brought this up. I do appreciate the fact that developers are reaching out to JCPS. I hope that when they do reach out to JCPS, whomever they're reaching out to is reaching out to the principals. I know principals that I've talked to are not aware, or at least the school staff is not aware of no development coming. So one food for thought I would give, and I think that Councilwoman Hawkins brought that up, is that whomever they're reaching out to does say, hey, these are the schools in that area, let's get you in contact with them. Of course, we don't know who's purchasing those properties, when that's gonna happen, but at least start that conversation. Just, again, something to think of. And then last, as we're looking at these developments and schools that are coming up, I would just be privy to and be sad if I didn't say, let's think about these special needs kids that are coming in those areas, and as we're looking at playgrounds that are coming in those, if we can think about adding in and making sure that we do have some playground areas and things within the school for those special needs kids as we continue to develop those schools or expand on schools in the near future. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I would say, one thing I would say is, if you advertise and put it on newspaper or TV, that we will be knocking on doors or whatever, Mom's gonna do a little better job. But if you haven't said it in years, and they don't know what's going on, just as he said, Dr., I can't think of his name, he said, well, it's going on. Nobody knows that. We don't know anything. Why don't you put it on in the newspaper or on TV and say, from now on, the truant officer will be knocking on your door. Mom gonna get that kid out of there, because they don't want to be going to court. But you have to lay it out to them. As long as you don't let them know, it's not gonna happen. So.
Can I ask one more question, Chair? Could you explain to me, crossing guards, why we use LMPD when we're short 300 or way more? Why are we using LMPD?
The Kentucky Constitution says we can't spend any money on crossing guards. It's not on our property.
It's not law for you to do it. You just can't spend your money on it?
We cannot designate personnel in a municipal space. This is an issue we've had for as long as I've been in education, and that falls on LMPD.
Well, it's an issue that we need to go to the state about, because we're short way too many officers to have to use them to swing a flag for crossing guards. So I hope we do something about that, because we're short.
LMPD officers aren't the crossing guards. They have a crossing guard program.
Those are officers that could be used to police our streets.
It's my understanding that crossing guards are not bonded
They
officers.
can be utilized. But if we could look into the state, I will.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more? Councilman Jonathan, I call him JJ, I'm sorry.
This isn't normally my committee, but after I finished setting up my classroom and heard that the man that's signing my paychecks was going to be testifying today, I had to come and introduce myself. Dr. Yearwood, I am in the council with District 12. This isn't the committee I sit on, but I wanted to come introduce myself. The JCPS employee of the 26 of us, teach at Butler High School, and if there's any kind of relationship that we can build too, I'd love to be able to help and assist with that. It's certainly, I know the JCPS and Metro Council are their separate entities, but certainly we have an interest when it comes to a lot of the youth in our area. So however I can be of assistance to headed forward, would love to be able to.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Councilwoman Hawkins.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, my colleague wasn't here, he's here now. You know, he may want to speak to you a little bit more about the next time that we have a meeting or something, bring it out in the South End. I spoke for you, JJ, when you wasn't here.
Oh, okay. If I may add, I started with 2. I'm coming to all of them. So you'll see me in the south, north, east, every which way, but yeah. And
I think
you're
we're at
probably
Valley-
next.
Valley next
Valley's next, Valley's next, yeah. So I'm coming.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I want to make a comment. I got a call this morning from a young lady, and she goes to TAP school, and they called and told her they put her out of school today. And so the reason why was a young lady came in the classroom and hit her in the face, and she got up to protect herself. So they put her out, and they called her this morning and said she cannot come back to school. She only needs 3 credits to graduate, and she's heartbroken because she can't go to school anymore. You know, I just don't understand why we putting kids out of school and not solving the problem or whatever. And now she won't graduate, and that's, to me, that's just something that needs to be talked about or worked on to get her to be able to graduate when somebody came in. And just like any one of us in the room, I know for one, Tammy would, if someone came and popped her in the face, she's gonna protect herself. We know what you're gonna do.
That is unacceptable for
It's
me because
unacceptable.
a young woman, young man that's that close to graduation means they did what they're supposed to. They stayed in school, they studied hard, they worked hard. So if I can get that name, we will find a way to make that happen.
I got it on my phone. She
Nice.
sent it to me this morning.
Yes.
So when I was just, it really bothered me that she's that close to graduating and someone started this mess and then she gets put out of school. And so I just want to see if we could get something done.
We'll
that
get
worked out.
something done, I promise you.
Okay, thank you. So do anyone else have any comments? Because we don't, it's a little past, it's past 2:30, but if you had any more comments, we do have that extra time. We don't? Okay. So we would like to have you come back again one day when it's more council people here, because I know some of the others would love to ask questions or whatever.
Sure.
And so I appreciate you coming, and we'll let you go home or go wherever you have to go. And, you know, you won't have to come back, but we will be calling you back after school starts to see how things have started to work out. And don't forget the comment I said about having them knock on them doors, or either, even if you don't knock on the door, just put something out so mama know, and mom might take heed and do some of those things and get them kids out of there and go to school.
Right.
Because we don't need a whole lot of dummies. We got a bunch now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Councilwoman, I need to get your information because we need to talk. Okay, thank you.
Before you leave, I want to give you this, wait a minute. I'm going to give you this young lady's, hold up. I want to give you this young lady's name before you leave. Can you catch her?
Metro TV, she's adjourned the meeting.